Hello everybody, welcome to this Clik Service webinar on the 342 upgrade update that was released in September. Thanks for attending everybody. Hopefully you got your coffees ready. This should last for about 45 minutes to an hour. What we're going to do next is we're just going to check for anyone that might not be able to hear. If you're having problems with audio, hopefully you can see this slide and you'll be able to check sound check. But if you still have issues, don't worry, this webinar will be recorded and you will receive a link to this webinar afterwards. Right, okay, without further ado, let's get on to the agenda. So, in the 342 upgrade, we put in some 3 big features in. One of them is the SharePoint integration. We've also upgraded the email template slightly, so it's a little bit more easier to use, easier to sort of find the tags that you want and need for your email templates. And then you can also now create quotes from contracts. At the end, we'll do a Q&A. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if there's any Q&As during the webinar. And after each section, I'll probably stop for a bit if there are any questions. If there aren't, I'll just move on to the next subject. But that's how we'll do the Q&As. We've got Thomas, who's on questions at the moment. So if you do have any questions about your hearing problems, then you can put them in there. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the SharePoint integration. So what you can now do, because Clik has been linking with Office 365, we've now added another feature to this, which is the SharePoint integration. So you can now integrate with SharePoint, so documents that are linked in Clik Service or added in Clik Remote or Clik Jobs can now be stored in the cloud rather than your local network. This could help with space that you might have been problems with on your server, so you might have some issues there, and you might want to store those documents somewhere else. So SharePoint is primarily sold as a document management and storage system. It has lots of other uses as well. People use it for internal websites and stuff like that. But it comes as standard with Microsoft 365 or Office 365, as people may know it as. And you can have up to 25 terabytes of storage on your SharePoint site, which is a significant amount. But most will start with just 1 terabyte, and you can obviously upgrade with Microsoft. Now, what we recommend is we do recommend that you maybe speak to your IT if you have no sort of idea of what SharePoint is, about how to integrate it and get it into your business. But what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how to set it up and show you kind of its uses. So I'm just going to bring up my Clik Service. So hopefully you should see my Clik Service here. And we're going to go into the settings, which is at the top here. And we're going to go into settings again. And we're going to go into communication. And we're going to go into Office 365. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make sure you sign in with a Microsoft account. Now, when you sign in with that Microsoft account, it has to be a shared account to be using SharePoint. Okay, so for my example, when I've signed in with Microsoft, I've signed in with training@kliksoftware.com, and that's a shared email. So it's a shared email address that lots of people have got access to. So that's the first thing that you will need to do. The next thing you'll need to do is you'll need to go into SharePoint here, and you'll see that you've got a couple of options, and we're going to go through those options now. So the first option is your default documents folder. So what you can do, if you've got a default folder for documents, once it's saved, Clik will introduce a file structure created in SharePoint. So for example, you could have your folder structure, and then you might have company, and in that company might be jobs, invoices, purchase orders, purchase invoices. So what we can do is we can click on enable. And I'm going to choose my SharePoint site. So I'm going to go to training@kliksoftware.com. I'm going to click on documents, and I'm going to click Clik Webinar 342, and I'm going to click OK. So within that Clik Webinar 342, there's going to be a folder structure that's going to be created for me if I save things to job sheets or invoices or to the CRM. So that's one of the first things you're going to do. Now, the next bit is obviously these tick box options here. So if you're using Clik Remote, so basically Clik Remote users, will they be able to save files into this location as well? Yes, we want them to be able to save files into that location, so we're going to tick it. And then Clik Job users, will they be able to save files in that location as well? Yes. So if they're taking pictures, for example, on Clik Jobs, then those will go into the SharePoint folder for that particular job sheet for that particular company. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to select a file or folder. This is a bit different. It could be that you don't want to use default document folders and you basically want to be allowed to select a file or folder that's completely different and doesn't have that folder structure, or it might just be an add-on as well. You want to be able to say, well, okay, they can still do the default documents folder, but we also want them to be able to select a file or folder as well. Now, I personally prefer this bit because it's all set up for me, but you could do this as well. You could go to select file or folder, click enable, you can click on add folders, and you can add a particular folder that you want everything to go to. So in this case, I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'll click on documents again, and I might go to my test folder, and I'm just going to click OK. So they can have the option to put stuff in there if they need to. I'm going to show you how that works in Clik Service. And then the last but not least one is if you're currently storing documents straight into the database, or you're linking documents, and you're linking documents to folders, etc., you might want to hide those. So you might want to hide those and so no one that ever does that again. Or if you still want them, you can untick it and they can still have those options as well. But if you want to hide that legacy kind of store document in database, link document and link to folder options, you can do by just ticking that box, which I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to click OK in here. And we're going to see how this kind of works. I'll give an example. So what I'm going to do, if I'm going to a job sheet, and I'm going to go to an unassigned job sheet, so I'm just going to go to this one here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into documents. So just documents in here. Now, when I click on new, I've got store document in SharePoint, or I've got upload or link to SharePoint folder. That would be grayed out if I didn't decide to do that, but I am actually going to use the store document in SharePoint instead. And I'm going to find a document that I want to store in there. In this case, it's a service sheet that I want to put in this job. And it's just a Word document that uses Microsoft 365. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to assign an engineer. So I'm going to go to engineers, click on add, and we know how to all do this, I think. So I'm just going to quickly add an engineer, and they're assigned to that particular job sheet, and I click save. So what I'm going to show you is how that might look in Clik Remote. But before I do that, you can now see the file location has changed to that SharePoint location, okay? I'm going to show you how that looks in SharePoint as well. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go into Clik Remote. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in Clik Remote. So I'm going to go to my jobs. Oh, I have to log back in. So I'm going to go to that job sheet that I've just put in. And I'm going to go down to documents. So in Clik Remote, I can see that documents in here, but I've got some options here. I've got my notes in SharePoint. I can view it online and I can edit it online. So what I can do is if I can click on a view online, I can start putting in some details in here. And that's it. I'm just going to put those two bits in here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Clik Remote. And then I'm also going to click on add, and I'm going to add a image as well, just so we can show you how that works. So I can go to add, I can click on document, choose a file. And in this case, I'm going to choose this little boiler, maybe give it a description, upload that selected file, and then this image will also go to SharePoint as well. I'm going to show you how it looks in SharePoint in a minute. So that's it in that job. So what we can do is we'll go back to that job. I'm just going to go this way. And if we go into documents, you can now see that that image is also in the SharePoint document. Okay, so how does this look like in SharePoint? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into SharePoint and show you how that looks in SharePoint. So if I go to SharePoint, I'm in my SharePoint at the moment. And one important factor as well, before you use your SharePoint, is you must be following that document, or you must be following that folder. Okay, so this in the top right-hand side must be starred as following. If you're not, you won't see it when you try to pick it up when you set up your SharePoint site. Okay, so in Clik, so make sure you're following that site. So as you can see, I've got my documents. I'm in Clik Webinar 342. It's made a lot of customers that I've already used in Clik that I put jobs onto. So if we click on company, if I click on business exhibitions, for example, in here is job sheets, and here's all the job sheets that we've done for them. And if we click on them, we can then see the folders or the documents that we've populated into here. And then we can open up that document and we can see them that way. Okay, so that's what it will look like in SharePoint. So it just holds it. It puts it in a nice place. So you've got company, you've got the job sheet, and then you've got the job sheet number, so it's easy to find. So Clik will do that file structure for you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're also going to see what it looks like in Clik Service and what you can do in Clik Service as well with those SharePoint things. So if we go back to that job sheet, if you right-click, for example, you'll notice you've got a couple of options. You can save a local copy, you can download and open it, or you can just open the web link or open in Office or remove all from print. Don't worry about that. But these four things are the main functions that are about the SharePoint. So for example, if I want to open that up in a web link, I can just click on open web link. And that's going to populate and I can see it that way if I need to. So again, it's just looking at that SharePoint site. So it's all stored in the cloud. That's essentially what we're doing. Okay. Okay, so that is probably it for kind of what we're doing with SharePoint. Now, I see there's a few questions, so I'm going to try and go for them. I'm going to try and answer them. If I can't answer them, we'll get back to you on the SharePoint ones, and we'll put them on our website so you can see the answers if I can't answer them. But we'll try and answer them now. So can you SharePoint and not use our server then, as we have all other services in the cloud? Yeah, you can use SharePoint for document storage basically within Clik. Now Clik obviously isn't in the cloud, that's still stored on a server, but any documents that you want can be stored in the cloud. So that's essentially what you'll be doing with SharePoint. Does the shared account need to be the owner of the SharePoint site? Yes, they need to have read and write access. Is that what I believe? So they have to have read and write access, and you must be following that folder basically within the SharePoint. Okay, next question. We don't have any shared email addresses. Are we able to each sign into Microsoft individually? You will need a shared Microsoft account. So that will have to be what you would need. You can't just do it with a single one. It would need to be shared. Where does the document go when it's just dropped into the document area? That's a very good question. Okay, so what you should be able to do, I'm going to quickly find something now that I can just quickly drag and drop. So if I go into documents, drag and drop, yeah, you can just drag and drop, and that should change into a SharePoint site. So it's now in that job profits report Excel spreadsheet. Has now gone into that SharePoint under that job number in the folder structure. So you can just drag and drop if you need to. Is the SharePoint only available with Clik Remote? Is there plans to have access to the SharePoint via Clik Jobs app? Yes, it will work with Clik Jobs. The only thing is with Clik Jobs is you can't give documents to the engineer, but the engineer can put in, for example, photos, and that will go to the SharePoint site. Maybe in the future we might be looking at that. You can do the same as you can with Clik Remote, where you can put documents in first. They can see those documents in Clik Jobs, but at the moment you can't currently do that. The only thing you can do is take images, and then those images will go back to the SharePoint folder in Clik Jobs. Will legacy documents be taken over automatically to SharePoint, or will these still be on the server? Unfortunately, that's something you would need to look at. You would need to maybe speak to your IT about how you can get your legacy documents that you might have in Clik and then over to your SharePoint site. So you might have to speak to your IT about that particular question. Yes, does it work in the same way for the documents in the site rather than documents in the jobs? Yes, it will do, absolutely. So if you wanted to, if we go to, for example, this particular site and we go into documents and I store a document in here. So I'll just find something quickly. Let's just get a waste note in. There we go. Oh no, let's try just a service doc again. So I'm going to put that in here in the service, this service sheet in the site for an example. And if you now go into your SharePoint site, you'll notice it's under, we've got another folder now called addresses, and it's populated into here, and you'll be able to see that service sheet. So you can do it, it still works the same way if you store documents in the site. Same with the CRM as well. Okay. Can SharePoint documents be accessed from Clik Jobs? Unfortunately, not at the moment. It's something we're looking to do probably in the future, but at the moment it can't be done. They can only take photos and then that will go into the SharePoint site. But you can't access, you can't give them documents and put them from there. Clik Remote, you can. Can existing folders under documents be transferred to SharePoint, i.e. existing links? That's something that you'd be moving it to a completely different link, so in SharePoint. So you might need to speak to your IT about how you might move that structure. You've already got those links onto a SharePoint site. That's something we wouldn't be able to help you with. That's something you'd have to go and speak to your IT about. When you say shared email, do you mean a normal email? We're not really talking about shared email address. No, what we're talking about is a shared Microsoft 365 account. So you might have something like training@clicksoftware.com, and there's me and a couple of my colleagues that have access to that particular email account. That's what I'm talking about. Can engineers remove files from SharePoint? Can we remove this permission? You can. So what you can do is you can make, just double check that. Hang on. So you should, if we go into settings and settings, and we go to user access and privileges, users, and we find the engineer. Let's have a look. There you go. So where you got, no, can access documents. Yeah, so you can access documents. You can deny it if you don't want to have access to documents. I'm just seeing a delete. I will have to have a further check on that. I'll get back to you on that. That might be something that we'll have to go to later. But currently, at the moment, on Clik Remote, I've got it set up so they can go into here and they can delete it from here if they need to from that job. So currently, they can delete those items from that job. That's something we'll look at and make sure that we can put permission in there. Maybe it can't, but we'll see if that is the case. At the moment, it looks like that delete hasn't deleted it. Oh, yeah, it has deleted it. So it's deleted it off here. Let's just have a little look to see what that looks like in Clik Service. If not, if that is a thing, we'll have a look to see if we can improve that. Yeah, so it has come off the job sheet. Okay, so it will come off at the moment. but we'll look at see if we can get permissions for engineers on there so they can't delete them. Okay, so I think that's it for the questions. We're going to move on now to the next one. Any ones I haven't answered, we will look at that in the future. There's quite a lot of questions there on SharePoint, so we will answer them, and we will send a link to our website that will answer those questions. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back into the second part, which is upgraded email templates. So what we've done is you can now send multiple print templates when emailing from Clik Service using email templates. So you might use this feature to email a quote and a job together to a client, or an invoice and a job sheet together. So you used to sort of be able to do this, but it was via advanced printing and it was quite sort of a long process. This is a lot easier, and you'll be able to email it straight away. And I'm going to show you how you can create one of those email templates to do that. So email templates also support creating single PDFs or individually when emailing print templates. So basically what this means is if you have a job and invoice PDF, they join together as one PDF, and you can send that out as one invoice, one email. But this will only work if you've got your templates were created in the new editor. So if they're created in the new editor, you'd be able to do that. If you're not, then you'd have to do two separate PDFs. You can now disable the select template window when sending an email template. So this just means it's one less thing to do. So it's a quality of life upgrade. Basically, you don't need to keep on selecting the templates that you require. It will just do the ones that you've set it up on the template. Also, attachments can be added to email templates. So if you want to attach something else completely, for example, maybe your catalog of services that you provide, then you could do that. You can now create blank emails from all modules. So this is something we haven't had, but we do have now. So it just means that if you want to send an email, just a normal email without any attachments, without any templates, but you're talking about that particular job sheet, for example, then you can just send a blank email out and it will log into your communication history. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how that works. Right, let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into settings again. We're going to go into settings now. And we're going to click on communication. And we're going to click on email templates. So this is where it is. Now I've got a few already set up, and we're actually going to do one that we've already created before. But what we're going to click on is we're going to click on new template. So in here, I'm going to call it invoice and job. And the type, we're going to put it into the invoice category because I want to send this from the invoice category, basically. And then my from address, I can put training at clicksoftware.com, but you can also pick the one you're going to send from anyway. So you don't necessarily have to put a from address in. And in the subject, I'm going to put in your invoice for job number, like that. And then what I can do is I can go into tag lookup. And this is where all your tags are, all the properties you can choose and display. So for example, I'm going to click on text fields in here, and I've got job numbers. So it could apply the job number to there. So your invoice for job number, and it's going to apply the job numbers that it's relevant to. You've now got an attachment section as well. So if you wanted to, you could just send a attachment if you wanted to. So I could just click on the folder option. And I could decide to put a PDF in if I wanted to. In this case, I'm not going to. The next bit is enable print template selection. So this gives me the option to say, well, when I use this template, I want to select the templates that I want to use. However, I know what templates I'm going to use. So I'm going to untick that, and I'm going to go to print templates, and I'm going to select the templates that I'm always going to use when I use this email template. So for example, I'm going to click on invoice. and I'm going to find the invoice that I want to send. So I'm going to just do invoice with notes, and then click OK. You'll notice I've got these little blue dots. That means that they are from the new template editor. Click OK. Then I'm going to go to job, and I'm also going to say, okay, well, the job sheet that I also want to populate is this job sheet test. We'll do that one. Or we'll do photos. There we go. Press OK. So those are the templates that I want populating when I do this particular email template. So the next bit I'm going to go to is I'm going to go to content. And I'm going to put the content in here. So for example, I'm going to go hi. I'm going to go to my tag lookup again. And I'm going to go to customer, for example, and I might go to text fields, and I might just put the company name in. So hi, company name. We are going to put more things in like contact names and stuff like that in there. At the moment, it's not in there, but it will be. Click OK. And go. Attached is your invoice and job sheet. For ref, and then you could then go back to tag lookup. So you got text fields again, and I could go customer ref. So they might have a reference that you've put on the invoice and the job sheet that's going to be populated, and you want it to populate on here and here, and you could do that. Press OK. And then I can go kind regards, and that's it. So once I'm happy with that, I'm now going to click on OK. And I've now got that invoice and job that I can use. So how does that work? So let's go OK. I'm going to go into one of these jobs that we did earlier. I'm going to quickly add some products in. I might add a service in or something like that. So I've got my product in. I'm going to create an invoice from here. So I'm going to go to activity. I might put a customer reference in as well, just so we got that. Go to activity, go to sales invoice credits new. I'll just put all items in for now. So the customer reference has come through. So now that I can go to tools, and I can go to email, and I can go to invoice and job. So what that's done is it's just telling me the email template uses pre-selected print templates. I can say, yeah, that's job sheet. That's definitely the one that I want it connected to. Press OK. And you'll see it's created 2 PDFs at the moment. We're going to go through how you can make it as one in a second. But you can see I've got 2 PDFs in here. I can select my contact if I had a contact in here, but I'm just going to enter an email. So I'll just do that. I can click on add, and I'm going to send that email to me. So that's sent. So that does a couple of things. That's now gone into my comms history. So I can see that email has been sent to them. And it's sent those 2 PDFs. So I'm going to click on close, click on close again, click on settings and settings. And we're going to go back to communication. We're going to go back to email templates. Now I'm just going to edit one that we've currently got. So all I need to do is I'm going to select it and click edit template. But this time, what I'm going to do is when I go to print templates, I'm going to say attach as a single file. You notice when I hover over that, it says only available when using v3 templates. In this case, I am, so it's fine. But what you'll also get is a file name. So job invoice, that's what I might put in and press OK. So next time I do it, it's going to be as one PDF. So I'm going to show you how that looks. Press OK. I'll go back into the job. I'll find the invoice. And then I'm going to go to tools, email, invoice and job. Yep, again, I want to send that. But this time, it's, oh, no, it's still 2 PDFs. Maybe I didn't save it. Let's just have a little check. Yeah, there we go. Didn't do it. Okay, try that one again. So tools, email, invoice and job. Oh, still not doing it. That should do. I'm going to create a new one, and then we'll see if that works. But that definitely did work before I did this webinar. So we'll just try it again. Create a new one quickly. I'm going to choose that one, so I know that one definitely works. So that's the one I did before. So invoice job, we'll do that. So just to double check. Let's go to yesterday's. So I can just show you how it works, just to make sure you can see it. Yeah. So I'm going to do this one instead, just to show you how it works. Press OK. That should be just one PDF. Yeah, there you go. So one PDF in there. So it's going to be joined up together. And I'm going to send that out. Right, okay, so let's have a look at those emails. So I'm just going to open up my email. You can see them. So here's the one with the 2 PDFs. And double click, and you can open it, and you can see the invoice. And then you've also got the job sheet as well. And then if we open up the one that's joined together, you can see here, there's the invoice on page 1, and there's the job sheet on page 2 and on page 3. Also got a picture of our boiler as well. Okay, so that is the email upgrade on the email templates. Now, we are going to be releasing a new update soon that will be about notifications. And the email templates is going to sort of help with that as well. So the new notifications that we're going to release in 343, and we will also do a webinar on that so you can see how that works as well. Okay, so I'm going to stop there and see if we've got any questions around the email bit. I'll answer a few. There's quite a lot of questions coming in, which is really good. Okay, can we send info ref jobs directly to the, can we send info reference jobs directly to the engineer? Yeah, you can, if you're talking about, that sounds like SharePoint. If you're talking about SharePoint, then you can, if you've got Clik Remote, you could put some attachments in there. But you could also email, you can email the engineer if you want to as well. Just so if you're not aware of that, you can go to engineers and you can click on the email button here, and you could email them one of these templates if you wanted to. Or you could, if you wanted to, you could email them from tools, go to email, blank email, and just type in their email address in there, because it does look at the contacts of the customer. Then you could send them some detail that way if you needed to. Are the users of Clik Remote able to email the office staff and clients of any questions relating to the job in hand? Yeah, yes, they can on Clik Remote. That is something you can do. You can definitely do that on Clik Remote. For example, I haven't got it set up, but you see here. So, for example, in Clik Remote, Simon Cox can go onto the job, and he can go to Actions, Email, and he has actually got a template he can use called Job Flow template. And he'll be able to email that template. But he has to email a template of some sort, basically. He can't just do a one-off email. I'd expect probably what he could do is he or she could just open up their Outlook and then be able to maybe email directly through there, potentially, and you can add that to the communication history later. Could the blank email and send template options be swapped around? The staff are accidentally sending blank emails as they are used to the template option being first. Unfortunately, that's just a UI thing, so there's nothing I can really change or we can change, but we could definitely look up for it, and I will report that to see if there's something we could change. But no, the blank email will always be there. They just have to maybe get used to just using email templates, just following that. And then maybe we can put a permission that disables blank templates or blank emails. Can these invoices be linked to Sage accounts? Yeah, you can post all invoices from Clik to Sage. Yeah, you can do that. I don't know if you mean emailing it. So if you email Sage accounts and the Clik job, you wouldn't be able to do that. But you can definitely post to Sage accounts. Can the email send uploaded subcontractor documents, or do the PDFs always need to be produced in a template editor? No, that's where you can use attachments. So when I was saying is what you can do, if you did a template that always had subcontractor stuff on it, or you're going to send a blank email, you could do that. So if we go to Tools, Email, Blank Email, I enter an email in here. I go to attachments, I click on the folder. I can attach any sort of, there you go, do that one. Clik Service Training Plan 1, there's a PDF. I can attach anything I want and I can send that to whoever I need to. And it will be related to that job sheet. So you could potentially do that. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a template if you did it from a blank email. And even if you did a template, you could do a template, but you just don't have a template associated with it. So for example, we went to settings and settings, communication, email templates. If I do a new template, I just don't put any print templates in here, and I untick that and I literally have a blank email. I could use that template still, but put my relevant attachments to subcontractors in there maybe. So that might help you. Okay, can you add an additional attachment that is not in a template in an additional PDF or doc? You add additional attachment. Yep, remember you can add additional attachments by clicking on this folder in here, or you can do it when you do a blank email or whenever you do another template email. You can always have the option to put in another attachment if you want to, and it's just by clicking on the folder next to attachments. Do we need to use the new template editor in order to use the advanced emailing features? Yeah, you do, only for this bit, attach as a single file. That's the only thing you need to you need your templates upgraded to V3 templates. If that's something you're interested in, please get in contact with your account manager. They'll speak to you about that. But essentially, yeah, that's the only feature that would be different. Is you would definitely need V3 templates if you want to attach as a single file. Okay, my from email address is showing a sort of email.clicksoftware.com. Okay, Louise, that might be a technical support question. I'd advise just calling us on 01179022012. But it sounds like to me you haven't been set up with Office 365 if you do have Office 365. So you might want to call our tech support on that, and then we can check that. If it's a case that you are just not connected with Microsoft Office 365, settings, Office 365, sign in with Microsoft, and just remember to tick Office 365 if you're emailing from Microsoft 365. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there because there's quite a lot of questions and we need to move on, but we will answer all the questions and we will send them to you at the end of the webinar. Right, okay, so we're going to move on now. We're going to move on to contracts and quotes. Okay, so let's get that. So you can now create a contract from a quote. So this is something that's been asked for a while, but now you can do that. So contracts can now be created from a quote. Contracts can be linked back to a quote if already created as well. We've also added purchase items in contracts to track the materials added to job sheets. So they link back to the contract, so we'll show you that as well. And we've also put quote total columns. They're now available in the contract column chooser and on reports as well if you need them to do some reporting. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through that and I'm going to show you how you would use it. Okay, so let's go to a quote. I'm going to quickly go to a quote. I'm going to go to new, and I'm going to do new quote from template because I've got a service contract template that I'm always going to use, and for this particular customer, so I don't need to keep doing it. So I've got that. I've got my times, got materials, got materials, which is quarterly service, for example. So let's pretend that they've accepted that. So we click accepted. Now they need a new contract. So they've got that quarterly service that we need to produce. So I'm going to go into activity. And now you're going to see the tab contracts. So we've got activity, we've got contracts. I'm going to click on new contract, and that's it. It's created that contract. So I'm going to double click on that contract, and you can now see I can start building my contract, but it has got that quote linked to it in here. What it's done is it's put that quote value into contract value in here. Okay. So that's a good thing if you just need to work out how much the value of that quote is, contract is. It's coming from that quote. Obviously, you have the option to change this and edit it if you need to. Okay. Now, if we go back to quotes, you can click on link, and you can click on existing quote as well. And then if you click on existing quote, you'd be able to find an existing quote and then be able to populate into there as well. So again, you can populate that into there if you need to. Now, what that doesn't do is it won't increase your contract value. That's something we might look into in the future. It's something people want, but you can put multiple quotes in if you wanted to. But generally, you might have one active and one not active. Remember, you can right click and say, okay, well, that one's not active. And that'll just disappear in here. All right. Okay, so that's how you can link quotes to contracts and create contracts from a quote. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the purchase order items. So what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly create some reoccurring visits on the contract. So I'm going to go reoccurring visit schedule. I'm going to click on edit schedule. I'm going to do a new visit template. I'm going to call it quarterly visit. Which site is it? Is it all day? Yeah, I'm going to put a template on as well. So we got that, call it service. Nice and straightforward. And then I'm going to set up the reoccurrence, which is going to be monthly and the first day of every 3 months. And start on the 1st of October and press OK. So that's going to create my first job for me. Press OK, close that. Now I'm going to go into that job sheet and I'm going to quickly put a material in, another material that we might need for that particular job. And I'm going to raise a purchase order for that, to those 2 materials that are in here. So I'm going to go to activity, create a purchase order, click on new, create PO for materials, select my supplier, and click on OK. So those are now been now raised a PO for them. So that PO has been raised. But what it also means is because that job is part of that contract, if I go to the purchase order items, they are going to be listed in here. So you will be able to see them. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to have to do is we will need close that and close that again. And we're going to just quickly go through some of the columns that you can have in contracts as well. So I'll click on contracts. You'll notice we've got 3 columns in here now. We've got quote cost and quote total, and then the quote numbers associated with them as well. So those are the 3 columns that we've got in here currently. At the moment, we haven't in quotes got the column contract, but that will be added soon. So that's probably going to be in a next release. So we'll have contract number in here so you can see the contract number. But currently, that's not in there. but you do have it in contracts. You do have the free here. To get those columns, if you need to, you just right click, you go to column chooser, and you would be able to select them in here. Okay. Okay, so let's go on to some questions for that particular one. See if we've got any or any questions from last time. So let's have a look at some other questions then. So we've got a lot of it about SharePoint integration still. Can it be linked with 0 accounts? Yes, Clik can be linked with 0 accounts. Yeah, you can post invoices to there. How do you post invoices from Clik to Sage? Okay, Kerry, we will get someone to contact you to show you how to do that, how you can post invoices from Clik to Sage, but it's fairly straightforward. Subcontractor documents uploaded to the job. Subcontractor documents uploaded to the job. Yeah, you can. So I suppose what you could do, as long as that you're getting them, they might be using a different system, but I suppose what you could do, as long as you get those documents, you just go into the document tabs, you click on new, and you just store them into the job that subcontractor's been on. Am I able to view the webinar at a later date? Yes, absolutely. You'll get a link to the recording. This will be on our main website, and all the question and answers will be on our website as well. Are there plans in the future to have the attach button from email pop up, look at the documents tab and see PDFs already attached in there? Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I like the sound of that. So I think what you're saying is if I did tools email, blank email, and I had some documents in here, that it'll actually look at the documents in there. Yeah, that's a very good idea. I would definitely put that forward like that. How do you assign your, oh, here we go. How do you assign your signature to the bottom of the email? Absolutely fine. So this is because it's connected with Office 365 account. So if I go into settings and settings, I go into communication, I go into Office 365. So here you've got your signatures. All you need to do is click on new. And it's really straightforward, to be honest. What I would do is I'd go into my inbox, I'd do new email, I'd copy my entire signature. So I'll just show you, Control C, for example. I then go back into Clik, and I just press Control V, and that's my signature. And I just click on OK. You can have as many multiple signatures as you like. You right click, you just highlight it and set it as default, sorry, if you need to. But that's how you would set it up if you need to set your signature up. Will we be able to rewatch this webinar? Yep, absolutely. It's all recorded, so you will be able to watch it. Can I please have info on how you post invoices from 0? Also, yeah, we'll get someone to send you some details about how you post invoices to 0. Is there a print template for service contracts? There is a very basic one. If you've got something that you want us to try and recreate, by all means, contact your account manager, send it over to them. But there is a couple of them. So you go to print. I've got contract here. I've got contract visit schedule. I think I've got something called maintenance contract card charger as well. There you go. But yeah, there are a few very default ones, very basic, and just give you kind of like the visits you're doing and the reoccurring visits that you might do. But yeah, you can possibly speak to your account manager about getting that done. Okay, is there any limit on the number of quotes we can assign to a contract, e.g. for 4 years of repair quotes? Would this pull through all the PO costs from all these quotes viewable via the contract? Yeah, as long as that contract is linked to a job sheet that you're raising the POs from, that's fine. From a quote, I don't know actually. I don't think it will. It's expecting probably for it to come. I would expect it to come from a job sheet, to be honest. I don't think I generally would see people raise POs from a quote. We'll have a look. No, so it needs to be from a job sheet. So you would need to do it from a job sheet. You'll raise that PO from the job sheet and the items you use on that job sheet. Are there any plans to change the dock so that you can drag and drop out? At the moment, you can drag and drop in, but not out. Yeah, that's a good question. At the moment, no, you can't drop out. It's something we are going to look into. If someone adds a document via Windows Explorer, where our SharePoint currently shows, will the document also appear in Clik Service and Clik Remote? Yeah, so yeah, well, as soon as you add a document, it's going to change the path to your SharePoint folder. So, for example, when I dragged and dropped from my desktop, which is on my C drive, as soon as I drag and drop, you'll notice that C users field.bat is changed straight away to say, well, you're going to go into your SharePoint site. Does the email show in Office 365 sent folder? Absolutely. It will always be sent. Yeah, it goes sent for your Office 365. It will be showed in there if you're sending emails through there. Can you link multiple reports to help provide a history for engineers? Well, to be honest, in Clik Remote, what you can do is you can see all the job history anyway. So you can see all the history of the jobs for that particular site if you need to. Are you looking to auto-populate the schedule visits or contracts rather than creating them manually? Well, you can. So I think this is what you mean, but I might clarify that. Essentially, when you create reoccurring visit schedules, that is working automatically. I've created a schedule. I'm saying it's starting at this date, and the last created visit is this date, and the next visit is this date. Okay. Can you get reminders 1 month before the contract is due for renewal? Yeah, you can do. So you can click on reminders. I haven't done all this because basically the webinar was more about these new features. But yes, you can do. You can enable end date reminders in reminders and then just decide which users you want to get that reminder. Right, I think that really is it now for today's webinar. Now, what we're going to do, like I said, this has been recorded, so you will get an option to see this again. Hopefully that was useful. If you need to get in touch with us, you can do on 01179022012 or email us at hello@kliksoftware.com. And yeah, thanks really for watching, and we'll get back to you with all your questions and we'll put them onto our website and you'll get a link to this recording. Okay, thanks very much for watching and speak to you all soon.